A certain attractive blonde YouTuber sent me an idea for a video, and I wasn't going to respond to it because it's about the SFU Men's Center, and I don't know anything about that. And I've also done a lot of, like, feminism videos, although this isn't feminism per se. But then I changed my mind, for a couple reasons. One, not knowing what you're talking about, that has never stopped anybody from making a YouTube video, let alone me, especially me. And two, let's see if I can pull this up here. The description for the video says, "A passionate, pitiless, and positive video postulates potential persecution as a product of poor policy planning and patriarchal privilege, proposing that a proclamation of purpose must precede the payment of planned disbursement." I don't like your fucking alliteration. Let's go.
I don't think the Men's Center is fiscally responsible for the student society right now.
Remember the adage about glass houses and stones. But seriously, you're not going to win any beauty contests yourself.
The project is not financially responsible.
I'm uncomfortable with $30,000 being allotted to a center with no clear mandate.
How can you think that because there's enough money to do that, you should be able to?
By your tedious logic, I would never have bought this magically suspended baseball, right? I wouldn't have this keychain that displays pot prices in Amsterdam, okay? Actually, I guess that kind of supports your point. Shut up.
Students are paying more in tuition and fees than they've ever paid.
When you have all these other groups that have to work tooth and nail for years to get somewhere, to get funding like that.
I know this might seem like nitpicking, but I hate improperly applied idiom. It's not work tooth and nail, it's fight tooth and nail, because you don't work with your teeth and your nails unless you have a really strange occupation. You do, however, use your teeth and your nails to fight. You can work your fingers to the bone. English isn't even my first language, and my grasp of idiom is better than yours. I'm just saying, you should be ashamed. Your whole family should be ashamed.
The privileging of creating a men's space over other advocacy groups, applying for funding and space, opens itself up to a lot of outside criticisms.
Well, you know, that statement would be a lot better if you could tell us what these other groups are that are applying for the same money that they might not get because of this men's group. Like if it's the Association of Midgets Who Like to File the Sharp Corners Off of Legos, well then I'd say, you know what, they probably don't need that $30,000. I'm sorry, midgets who like to file the sharp corners off of Legos, I'm a bigot.
Considering there isn't a men's movement to liberate men from women and from the gender inequalities imposed on men, I don't think that there's as much of a mandate to create a men's center.
Well, that place used to be porno and video games, but the radical feminists are trying to get rid of the porno, and Anita Sarkeesian is single-handedly trying to ruin video games. The men have to go somewhere if they don't want to just crack the fuck up.
Men have a lot of access to space that women don't have when we talk about having a women's center as a safe space.
Did it occur to you that maybe some men want to get away from your overly sanitized safe spaces and make their own little dangerous space? I'm just going to throw that out there.
The Men's Center is not about gender equality. It is not about being fair to the men at SFU.
Well, gee, you know an awful lot about it, but isn't the primary thesis of this entire fucking video that there is no clearly outlined mandate? If there's no clearly outlined mandate, then you don't know what the fuck it is about or is not about. It is ostensibly about or not about anything. So you're talking out of your ass.
It's a bit different than talking about a men's center as a safe space.
You need to have a community. It's essential in order to have this safe space that we want. You need to build the community.
I'm going to be honest here. Whenever I hear somebody say safe space, I kind of wish they'd die. I hate to admit that, but it's true.
First,
I think there's a possibility for the Men's Center to become a highly masculinized space if it's not given a clear mandate for inclusion.
Highly masculinized space? No! It could cause a catastrophic chain reaction of testosterone, causing testicles to descend everywhere, and perhaps men would stop being simpering, pathetic cowards. No, we cannot have it. No!
I think there's potential that it would become a heteronormative space.
I don't like to throw words around like this, but when you say that, you sound like a serious fucking bigot.
it does not take into account marginalized or subordinate men.
experiencing sexual assault or has depression or is grappling with any of those issues would want to enter a space where
a room with a PS3 and a bunch of douchebags sitting around playing games?
Oh, I'm sorry, what are you doing that's better? What's that? Nothing? Then why don't you eat shit and die?
is it going to be trans inclusive?
In which victimized men would not feel comfortable
discussing victimization.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that everybody's got to be a victim before they can get anything of their own. I mean, heaven forbid that we should, like, try to, you know, have nice things before we're victims, right? Let me tell you one thing that bothers me about corporate America. And it's this. Inside of any corporation, you know, there's a certain level of boring that it has to be. A baseline level of boring. But corporations are never just that baseline level of boring because, you know, as soon as there's that one hypersensitive woman hears a joke, somebody gets called to the HR office, then everybody's just watching everything they say, and it's a stifling environment. T.S. Eliot would describe it as living a life of quiet desperation. That limey bastard was so accurate. So, hey, since we're all leading lives of quiet desperations in these stifling, hypersensitive environments, can we at least have a space where we can go and play some Xbox and be loudmouth, swear words saying hard fighting, hard farting motherfuckers? Is that asking too much? That we have a little bit of an outlet for our masculine energies? I guess that is asking too much. Why don't we all just go ahead and act like you and put on a blazer over a blouse? Why are you wearing a blazer with a blouse? You know, I'm not even going to say any more because I caught a lot of flack on my last video for stuff. So just, like, seriously though, blazer and a blouse, what the fuck?
Victimized men might not feel comfortable.
I feel victimized by your condescending tediousness, and I would pay good money to get away from you.
Where you don't have a mandate, something where you don't have goals, an idea of what the place is going to look like, the Men's Center will end up being a place to celebrate hegemonic masculinity rather than being a place to include all different types of masculinity.
Well, yeah, with that attitude it will.
It is not collaborating with the other social justice groups at SFU.
There is a sexual assault working group on campus right now, and I know that they have not been contacted.
Oh, I see. The Center for Men to get away from a bunch of touchy-feely fucking nonsense can't exist unless it cooperates and extensively interacts with aforementioned touchy-feely fucking nonsense. It all makes perfect sense now.
It's significant for them to work with the other groups so that you can make sure that you're being inclusive to all the different forms of masculinity.
Oh, 'cause the dumb men folk just can't handle that shit on themselves. They don't understand none of that shit. We gotta do it for them. If they don't come to us, then they clearly can't figure that shit out. Fuck you.
If the point of a men's center is to have a space where men can feel safe, then you should make sure that you are being inclusive to all forms of masculinity. Those include subordinate and marginalized men.
The subordinate and marginalized men will just go to the feminist center.
Hey, some women have cocks.
Jeff McCann, Keenan Midgley, and Danielle Hornstein are not the best people to be creating a men's center. It's coming from a space of hegemonic, privileged masculinity.
Yes, I'm sure whatever the fuck that is just terrible.
People who are proposing the men's center, Jeff McCann, Keenan Midgley, and Danielle Hornstein, have no experience of being a subordinate or a marginalized man.
Isn't that one of them there ad hominems?
They have no experience of being in a gender studies class.
They're not consulting with people who do have some information about these things and who can provide a better foundation to build this men's center on.
Oh, it goes on like this for a while. It's basically the same thing. If we don't have our grubby fucking mitts all over it, then it ain't even worth doing, mate. So, everybody have a nice night.